Okay, when we are working on the perfect tenses in Spanish, it sometimes helps to think of the perfect tenses as kind of a family tree. So with a family tree, right here that we have the árbol familiar, we have the la familia perfecto, the perfect family, okay? And in the perfect family, there are many main branches, but we're going to learn about three here in chapter 5 of Spanish 3. We have the present perfect family, the presente perfecto. We have the past perfect, or the pluperfect family, el pasado perfecto, that's also been known as the pluscuamperfecto. Then we have the subjunctive perfect, or the subjuntivo perfecto, also referred to as the perfecto de subjuntivo. Yeah? Okay, in the families, all the families have something in common. Okay, and that's something that we can see. But of course, every family has something, has different members. Now, the present perfect family has the different members of the different combinations of the auxiliary verb of haber. Haber is the same verb we've seen before, which is I, which means there is, there are, or había, which means there was or there were. Well, now we're going to use that same verb haber, but we're going to actually conjugate it. It's a helping verb. It doesn't really have any big meaning in Spanish besides to say have done, has done, they have done, he has done, I have done, etc. So, in order to conjugate that correctly, we say in the present perfect, yo he, tú has, él ha, ella ha, or usted ha, nosotros hemos, ellos han, ellas han, ustedes han. That's the auxiliary verb. Then we have to add on something to the end. Okay? The past perfect is exactly the same thing. They have the helping verbs, but you do them in the imperfect tense instead of the present tense. And the imperfect is very, very easy. We've learned it before with había, just that I-A ending accent on the I. I'm not going to go through all of those because we've learned them back in chapter 2 or 3 already. Then the subjunctive perfect does the same exact thing, except using haber in the subjunctive, which we have already learned with haya. Haya is one of the irregulars in the subjunctive, so we're going to see that again, and yes, I told you it was going to come back to haunt us. We're not going to worry about subjunctive perfect today. We're going to focus more on the present perfect and the past perfect for this lesson. Okay, so the perfect family, yes, it has many members with many different names. But just like our families, all the members of the perfect family have some shared characteristics. And what are some of those shared characteristics? Well, there are always two verbs used. The helping verb, that always starts with an H, always will start with an H. That's the helping verb. And then the participle form. Now, we've learned the participle form earlier this year when we did participles as adjectives. This time we're not doing participles as adjectives. We are doing participles as parts of a verb. Therefore, they do not agree in gender and number. They're going to agree, they're not going to change at all, except by adding the ado for the AR into the verbs, or AR verbs, or ido for ER or IR verbs. Those are the participle forms. Of course, there are always going to be the black sheep in the family. Any family has the black sheep. And in Spanish, those are the irregular participles. Now, we have learned those before, but I know many of you probably need a refresher on that. So, yes, abrir goes to abierto, cubrir to cubierto, decir goes to dicho, hacer to hecho, escribir to escrito, morir to muerto, poner to puesto, resolver, resuelto, volver, vuelto, romper, roto, ver goes visto. Then whatever verbs have that prefix like devolver, de goes in front of volver, which we see right here. Devolver would go to devuelto. Revolver would go to revuelto. Descubrir would go descubierto. Describir would go to escribir, descrito, etc. Okay? Now you have to put these together in order to make your perfect tense. Okay, how does this family work? Well, again, just like we learned with estar plus ando and yendos in the last class, we can't break apart the helping verb and the participle either. You can never break verb combinations apart. Just like also with gustar, you can never break apart me gusta. You cannot say me no gusta in Spanish. You have to put the no out in front, no me gusta. Yeah? They're stuck together for life. A no can't go between, a mucho can't go in between. Everything has to go out in front. Okay? Number 2, the ado and the ito endings never ever will change when they're a part of the verb. Okay, because they don't have to agree in gender and number with anything. They're describing an action, what you have done before, what you had eaten before, right? They're verbs. The only thing that changes is the haber verb that goes out in front of the ado or ito form. Just like we learned with the present progressive. Estar is the only one that changes. The ando or yendo forms never changed, did they? Okay, let's look at the present family, the presente family. For example, I have eaten hippopotamus. How would I say that? Well, I need to change the I have to the auxiliary, so I'm going to be looking up here at the present perfect family. I'm going to say yo he, and then I have the eaten, which is the verb comer. I'm going to drop the er and add ido, comido, hippopotamus. Yeah? Yo he comido hipopótamo. Yo he comido hipopótamo. Okay? Have you ever been to China? Okay? Ever been? Okay? This is going to be a how you are, where you are question because you're asking a location. Have you ever been to China? So you're going to use estar, and you're asking with you. So you're going to use the has from present perfect. Okay? Has estado en la China. Have you ever been to China? ¿Has estado en la China? You ask that question, same word order, you just change your inflection of voice to make a question. Okay? They have finally opened the store. Okay? They is the subject, so we're going to change the haber verb to an out in front, and then we're going to put open. Open is the participle form that we need to change. Opens from the verb abrir. So that was one of those black sheep that we learned about. They have finally opened the store. We're going to put the finally out front because in Spanish you cannot separate the have and the opened. Okay? Finally is por fin han abierto la tienda. Notice that han abierto is not separated at all. Okay. Excellent. Now we're going to go on to the past perfect. Okay, again, here is the perfect family, just so that we have our remembering. The present perfect is ella, sa, hemos, han, and the past perfect, había, había, sabía, habíamos, habían. You do the haber verb, the helper verb, plus ado or ito, or an irregular black sheep. Okay, for example, I have not returned to New Orleans after Katrina. Yo no he vuelto a Nueva Orleans después de Katrina. Okay, the past perfect or the pluperfect is called the pluscuamperfecto in Spanish. And this means you use this basically when you describe what you do before another event occurred. And the first time I learned that, the thought I had was, huh? Didn't get it. So let's do some examples. Let's say, for example, I had eaten shrimp before I learned of my allergy. There's a little timestamp here, before I learned of something. Okay? So, yo había comido camarones antes de aprender de mi alergia. Yeah? There's my timestamp. Antes de aprender. I didn't know I had an allergy, so I had eaten shrimp before, but since I learned about it, I have not gone near shrimp again. Yeah? So, the pluscuamperfecto usually means there's going to be some sort of a timestamp involved. Okay? Now, that timestamp could be stated or implied. You're not necessarily always going to state that out front. Let's do a couple little examples to end the video. Numero uno. The girl had eaten her breakfast when her mother came. What's the timestamp there? It is not the girl. The girl is the subject. Had eaten, there's your past perfect formation. When her mother came is the timestamp. Okay? So we're going to look at that. La niña había desayunado cuando vino su madre. Okay? The idea of already had done something when something else occurred is very familiar with the idea of pluperfect or pluquamperfecto. Let's try another one. This one doesn't have a stated, but rather an implied timestamp. Number 2. The politician had promised to lower taxes. Can you find a timestamp? There is no timestamp, but it's implied that during his campaign, the politician had promised to do something, or at some former time that the politician had done it. And there's a good chance that the next sentence would probably talk about how the politician had not followed through on his promise. El político había prometido bajar los impuestos. And those are the basics for the present perfect and the past perfect. It's very, very similar formation to what we do in English. We use a verb that starts with an H, have or had, just like in Spanish you use a verb that starts with an H. Has, ha, hemos, han, or había, sabía, habíamos, habían, plus the participle, the ado, ido, or the irregular participles of the verbs. And with that, you are good with the perfect tenses. We'll have a quick quiz on this on Thursday in class.